I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Currents. The highest values of the human spirit are the inspiration for a very special award.
The Christophers were founded essentially in order to use the media to spread the message that individuals need to take personal responsibility to make a difference in the world, to change it for the better.
And we go into the deep with Bishop DiMarcio for a solemn look at Memorial Day celebrations and remembrances.
We remember those who've given their lives in the various wars of our country in defense of our nation. We remember all the deceased at that time. And when we celebrate Eucharist right in the cemeteries, it gives people a chance to visit the graves and at the same time go to Mass.
And serving up gourmet fare as the recipe for a very worthy cause.
And I think it's a great cause, and anything I can do to help any wounded warrior, I would do.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. It's that time again, a special night dedicated to creators of films, TV programs, and books. I'm talking about the 63rd Annual Christopher Awards. The event was established to salute media that remind audiences and readers, young and old, of their inherent potential to make a difference and positively influence our world. Our cameras were front and center at the gala again this year. Program manager Tony Rossi promised the winners would be entertaining, engaging, and inspiring, and would also reflect the power of our individual choices to shape the lives of others in unexpected ways. Well, he did not disappoint.
We're at the 63rd Annual Christopher Awards. These awards are given out every year by the Christophers, which was founded by Father James Keller in 1945. And they're meant to honor books, films, and TV programs that promote gospel values in their stories without necessarily overtly promoting the faith, but still promote the gospel values in them. The Christophers were founded essentially in order to use the media to spread the message that individuals need to take personal responsibility to make a difference in the world, to change it for the better. And we try to recognize people and works that are really doing good work, that affirm the highest values of the human spirit is what our tagline is. Marty Lyons, a former New York Jet, is getting the James Keller Award named after our founder. And it's for the work he's done with the Marty Lyons Foundation, which he started 30 years ago to grant special wishes to terminally ill children.
Each and every day, we have a choice. How many lives we can change if we just say a kind word? How many people we can touch? See, you don't have to be a professional athlete to make a difference. All you have to do is care. All you have to do is take time to give of yourself so other people can grow. The significance of receiving the Christopher Award is just that it recognizes all the hard work and all the energy that people from the Marty Lyons Foundation has put forth. 60% of our kids may not live to see the age of 18. This gives meaning to their lives.
The other, the Life Achievement Award winner is Mother Dolores Hart, who has been getting a lot of attention lately because an HBO documentary about her aired and was nominated for an Oscar. And we just really wanted to recognize her whole life, because she's known as the nun who kissed Elvis.
My favorite memory of Elvis came very early, because I knew him when he was a young man. We've made 2 films together, Loving You and King Creole.
I remember when Dolores Hart went into the convent, and frankly, the feeling at the time was, oh, that'll last about 6 months. Well, all these years later, it certainly has lasted. And Mother Dolores Hart has been an inspiration to all of us. Please welcome Mother Dolores Hart.
The only way to face eternity is to find someone you love. That's what will get you across the line. And that's what makes life worthwhile.
In the beginning, Father Keller in 1940s, he would give awards to newspaper articles, to plays, to songs. So we've kind of moved away from that, the more specific stuff. So there's just so much more media out there now too, though, with internet and web. So, in the future, we may be looking into recognizing other forms of media as well. I hope the outcome of the Christopher Award ceremony tonight is that people will watch the programs and the films and read the books that we're recognizing, and see what kind of hope that they offer. If you're ever feeling down about life in the world, all you have to do is watch or read a Christopher Award winner, and it'll pick your spirits right back up.
And to date, more than 1,400 producers, writers, directors, authors, and illustrators have won Christopher Awards. Recent winners include The Blind Side, The King's Speech, and Toy Story 3 in the film category. Coming up, Bishop DiMarcio takes us into the deep with a solemn perspective on Memorial Day. That and the day's headlines next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Liz Faublas. Activists gathered at the nation's capital in defense of religious freedom. Topping the agenda, the Obama administration's contraception mandate. The day-long summit in Washington attracted conservative Catholics, Baptists, Orthodox Jews, Orthodox Christians, Mormons, and others, including Southern Baptist leader Richard Land and Baltimore Archbishop William Lori, all on hand to address the sorry state of religious freedom in America today, according to RNS. Speakers also warned that other religious rights are under siege, including religious groups' freedoms to hire employees of their choice and workers' rights to abstain from activities forbidden by their beliefs. The Ethics and Public Policy Center's American Religious Freedom Program sponsored the event, where Bishop Lori was honored for his work as the Catholic bishop's point man against the birth control mandate. Well, that controversial mandate, among the reasons one political expert is urging Catholic voters to head to the polls this presidential election. Brian Birch, founder and president of CatholicVote.org, says if the faithful turn out in slightly larger numbers at the polls, they will be the decisive vote this November. Birch said that due to recent developments, we, quote, no longer have the luxury of keeping politics separate from religion. Birch noted that in light of the federal contraception mandate and the president's recent support of gay marriage, Catholics have become increasingly aware of how politics are impacting their religion. Focus now on Egypt, where a local court has reportedly sentenced 12 Coptic Christians to life and acquitted 8 Muslims involved in clashes last year that left 2 people dead, according to the Associated Press. The April 2011 case began when a Muslim bus driver's confrontation with security guards outside the home of a wealthy Coptic spilled over into a protest. Christians nearby thought they were being targeted and began to shoot from their rooftops into the crowd. Religious tensions flared as Muslims, furious over the killings, sought revenge by burning down Christian homes and stores. Coptics, who make up about 9% of Egypt's population, say the authorities tend to favor Muslims and fail to take cases concerning Christians seriously. Now, meantime, Egypt's Christians are hoping that the new president elected this week will uphold religious freedom. We hear more from CNN's Ian Lee.
Victoria Talka is a grandmother and first-time voter.
Oh, thank you.
And she couldn't be more excited about having a voice in Egypt's future. I want a just president, she says. Victoria is one of Egypt's minority Coptic Christians, a community which considers itself a victim of years of injustice, whose bloody fight for equality did not end with Egypt's dictatorship. Since last year's revolution, attacks on Christians have killed dozens. Sectarian tensions are on the rise. A small incident can lead to deadly clashes, and when the dust settles, justice against those involved is elusive. Most notably, the New Year's Eve church bombing in Alexandria a year and a half ago. Nobody has yet been held accountable for that attack, which killed over 20 worshippers. Those who kill Christians must be held accountable immediately. It can take years for a sentence, she says. It's not right to draw Christian blood in Egypt. Christians also cite laws they say discriminate against them. Now they believe there's a new opportunity, a chance for a fresh start with a new president. Someone who Christians say can help them stop feeling like second-class citizens. Ihab Aziz is president of the Coptic American Friendship Association.
We're definitely at some crossroads here. One of the major challenges is that, is this going to be a civil state where everyone is going to be treated equally, or it's going to be an Islamic state where the full package, if you will, of Sharia will be implemented?
To achieve that civil state, Aziz says 2 candidates stand out above the rest. former members of Mubarak regime Ahmed Shafiq and Amr Moussa. At polling stations like this one, Egypt's Coptic community will help elect another president. But there's another leader that they need to select, arguably more important, but he won't be elected at the ballot box. In March, Copts mourned the death of their longtime Pope, Shenouda III, not only a spiritual leader, but also a powerful advocate and defender of Christian rights in Egypt. To many of the faithful, the timing couldn't have been worse. But from a political standpoint, Christian voters are relatively optimistic.
Yes, thank you.
For the first time in their history, they're in charge of their own destiny.
Over in China, Cardinal Joseph Zhenziqian has an urgent message. The retired Bishop of Hong Kong saying the persecution of the church in China is becoming more real and concrete. The Cardinal says the government is no longer just threatening faithful Catholics, but leading them into temptation. That's a quote. He says they are using money, prestige, honor, or positions in society not to make martyrs, but to encourage renegades. The Chinese government cracked down on churches in the second half of 2010 after the awarding of the Nobel Peace Prize to a Chinese dissident and the convening of the Lausanne Congress on Global Evangelization, according to China Aid. Well, more fallout in the so-called Vatileaks scandal. The Vatican police have arrested an individual in possession of private Vatican documents in connection to the alleged corruption that began in January. All this according to Catholic News Service. Some quick background for you. Dozens of private letters to Pope Benedict and other confidential Vatican correspondence and reports were leaked to an Italian journalist, Gianluigi Nuzzi. He published the documents in a book, Your Holiness, which was released back on May 17th. Vatican spokesman Father Federico Lombardi saying that the individual now in custody is being questioned by Vatican magistrates for further information. Separately, following a unanimous vote, the president of the Vatican Bank has been ousted. In a vote of no confidence, bank overseers, including Carl Anderson, head of the Knights of Columbus, found Ettore Gotti Tedeschi guilty of having leaked confidential documents to serve his personal and political interests. That's according to a person familiar with the Vatican's investigation. And he's also charged with failing to do his job at a critical time in the Holy See's efforts to show financial transparency, according to the Vatican and other officials. In a statement, the Vatican said the board had grown increasingly concerned about the governance of the bank and that the situation had deteriorated recently. Pope Benedict has a message for the Italian hierarchy: embrace the new evangelization. Benedict made the comments as he addressed the 64th Plenary Assembly of the Italian Bishops' Conference on Thursday. The Holy Father characterized Europe as wounded by a flight from faith, adding that a rich soil risks becoming an inhospitable desert. The Pope also remarked that many of the baptized have lost their identity and affiliation and do not know the essential content of faith. The Pontiff encouraged the bishops to help their people recognize that religious faith does not detract from personal freedom, but expands it. Well, the Vatican launches competition to promote the social doctrine of the Church, and Rome Reports has more on that.
The Centesimus Annus Foundation has launched a contest to promote Christian values in politics, society, and economics. The award is 50,000 euros, which will be given to the person who best explains how the social doctrine of the Church can be used to improve economic and social development. The competition invites all researchers and scholars who publish works on the social doctrine of the Church after 1991. The deadline is June 15th. The judges will include the Archbishop of Munich, Cardinal Reinhard Marx. The Centesimus Annus is a Vatican foundation that was formed in 1991 after John Paul II published his encyclical titled Centesimus Annus. That encyclical deals precisely with how the social doctrine of the Church can be applied in economics and society at large.
And finally tonight, staying with that competition theme, how well do you know the Bible? Well, if you think you are pretty well versed in Scripture, listen up. This story is for you. The Game Show Network is launching a new show called the American Bible Challenge. GSN is traveling all over the country in search of contestants who want to have fun while testing their knowledge of the Bible. Participants are asked to offer personal testimonies, and the show's producers say it helps to be familiar with pop culture and, of course, have a working knowledge of the Bible. Now, here's the best part. Each team of 3 will be comprised of faithful people who want to make a difference. They play for a worthy charity, not necessarily faith-based, as they share their compelling stories. The show, which is scheduled to launch later this year, will be hosted by Jeff Foxworthy, who is well known for his role on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Stay tuned, there's more currents ahead. Bishop DiMarcio puts Memorial Day into perspective when he takes us into the deep.
Our faith is set from the beginning. This is what Jesus did. He guarantees our own bodily resurrection. We say that in the creed, resurrection of the dead. Is it fictitious? No, we believe that.
Welcome back. Well, it's finally here, Memorial Day weekend. For many of us, this is the unofficial start of summer, and we get to enjoy a much-deserved day off, maybe do some outdoor grilling, or head out for a beach getaway. But most importantly, this holiday is set aside to remember America's fallen soldiers. Memorial Day began as a holiday to remember the brave servicemen who gave their lives during the Civil War, considered the bloodiest and deadliest war experienced on American soil. Now, over the years, it has become a day when we honor the brave men and women of all wars, past and present, who made the ultimate sacrifice to keep us safe and preserve our freedom. Now, here in the Diocese of Brooklyn, we honor military sacrifices with prayer and solemn observances at our Catholic cemeteries. Our news director, Ed Wilkinson, talked with Bishop Nicholas DiMarcio about the special meaning behind this Catholic tradition, as well as the powerful faith that drives our belief in the resurrection. It's all in this week's Into the Deep.
Bishop, nice to see you again.
Okay, good to be here.
Here we are. It's a holiday weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and one of the things that the diocese does every year on Memorial Day is they have field masses in our Catholic cemeteries in Brooklyn and Queens. Why do we do that?
Well, because people want to come to Mass, especially on these holidays that we concentrate on the memorial of the dead. Memorial Day, we remember those who've given their lives in the various wars of our country in defense of our nation. Or remember all the deceased at that time. And when we celebrate Eucharist right in the cemeteries, it gives people a chance to visit the graves and at the same time go to Mass.
Yeah. You know, one of the things I've heard you emphasize recently in a couple of your homilies is that you Catholics believe in a bodily resurrection, you know, with nothing less. We believe that body and soul that's a problem for some people, I guess. You know, they say, well, how does that happen? Here's the body in the ground here.
It's a leap of faith because we don't know how it happens. But that is what our faith is said from the beginning. This is what Jesus did. He guarantees our own bodily resurrection. We say that in the creed, resurrection of the dead. Is it fictitious? No, we believe that at the end of time. So that is a tremendous affirmation of the dignity of the human person, that we're not, meant for any finite period of time, but we're infinite. Once we come into existence, God keeps us in existence for all eternity.
Mm-hmm. And why do we have specific Catholic cemeteries?
Well, again, to assure the care of the places of the dead. The ground is blessed, consecrated. We used the term in the past. We will bless the ground. And we take responsibility for making sure that the places are undisturbed, that the correct care of the dead is taking place. It's sometimes very difficult. People get very upset if a grave isn't taken care of properly or something happens. But that's our responsibility. We try to do the best we can.
Yeah. When we pray for the dead, what are we praying for? I mean, do our prayers have an effect on what happens to those souls?
Well, we believe that. The prayer that we have is basically support for one another in asking God's mercy or thanking God for those who are glorified already. Mm-hmm. So it is really a communion of saints. That's the best way to explain it.
And as you said, on Memorial Day, we do pay special attention to our service people, servicemen and women. Why is that good to take some time out just to think about the people who have been in the armed services?
Clearly, anybody is willing to sacrificed themselves for others, that was what Jesus did, deserves our respect and attention. And I think that's what we do basically when we celebrate Memorial Day. We're not celebrating a war, we're not celebrating evil, we're celebrating sacrifice, so that's the difference.
Mm-hmm. Of course, as Jesus appeared back to the apostles, he said, "Peace be with you." You know, he was a peacemaker, and I guess that's we have to look at our service people as keepers of the peace. Right? And you'll be at one of the cemeteries, and other bishops will be covering the other cemeteries,
yes.
and everybody's invited to come out to the field masses. Right. Thank you so much for being with us.
Okay.
And stay tuned. There's more Currents after the break. Food, fun, charity, and our own Monsignor Jamie all come together for a worthy cause.
The support that those of us feel in the active duty force from America is really important.
And finally tonight, we're giving new meaning to the term food for the soul. Here at NET, we have our very own celebrity chef. Monsignor Jamie Gigantiello serves up some tasty meals as co-host of NET's restaurant show Breaking Bread. Well, this week he used his culinary talents to help with a very special cause. The charitable work is being done through the Stephen Siller Tunnel to Towers Foundation. The organization is named after an off-duty New York City firefighter who ran through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel with his gear to assist at the World Trade Center on September 11th, 2001. His remains were never found. One of the latest goals of the foundation that bears his name, building a new home for another hero. Iraq War veteran Brian Dilberian lost his left arm and both of his legs in a bomb explosion last year during his tour of duty. Well, on Monday night, Hunter's Steak and Ale House in Bay Ridge hosted a fundraiser, part of a larger effort to get him a new home.
We stand on the shoulders of the veterans. Whether you are businessmen, you are professionals, doctors, politicians, elected officials, we all stand on the shoulders of the veteran because they are heroes.
Events like this represent Americans, New York City citizens supporting our veterans. And the support that those of us feel in the active duty force from America is really important.
Tonight is just the beginning of many fundraisers that'll be happening throughout Brooklyn and New York City. Bay Ridge is no better community than Bay Ridge. The people are so tight. The families have been, many families have been around here forever, and so when one of their own is in need, and Brian is a homegrown Brooklyn hero, they rally together.
Monsignor Jamie, before he became His Excellency, was a big-time chef. Without hesitation, His Excellency came to the plate. He's done it all. Not only did he do all the work, he donated all the food and gave a donation besides. How much does it cost to buy a piece of property in Brooklyn and build a house from scratch, a custom-built smart house from scratch?
They asked me to do this. I said, of course. I mean, the cause is there's no question. I would, give my time to do it, and I think it's a great cause. And anything I can do to help any wounded warrior, I would do.
He won't be able to do much in the chair, and just to have the space to do what he has to do. I think right now, Brian can never take a shower standing up. They don't have prosthetics that are water resistant yet. So just to have a shower stall or something where he can get into it comfortably, I think will be an amazing thing.
I was able to get Chase Manhattan Bank to be a sponsor of this event, which is also a big help also. I told someone that works at Chase, because I have an affiliation with them, they help the Diocese and Futures in Education and the Catholic Foundation of Brooklyn and Queens. I told them what I was doing. They said, we're going to help you with the house. So I said, great.
People are paying attention to what veterans have done, what they've sacrificed for, and that, anything, any kind of support is what we value and what we want to support.
A member of our community, deserves to be taken care of right, so I think that it's it's appropriate that we're all together. It's actually, you know, imperative that we do this for every veteran that comes back wounded.
We received Hunter's Steakhouse. It gave us the place for free with staff, beer, wine, soda for free, everything included. Monsignor Jimmy Gigantinello, not only the chef, he gave all the food and a donation besides. So anything we took in tonight went towards the project.
And that is all for this edition of Currents. Be sure to visit us online at currentsny.net. We are also on Facebook, and you can also follow us on Twitter. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Liz Faublas. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend.